if it becomes a law and if what is written is what remains. It goes far beyond the concern of whether or not there is the right to choose. It goes to other basic rights, the right to marry, the right to determine a whole range of things. Because one of the issues that this court, many of the members of the court, a number of the members of the court, have not acknowledged is that there is a right to privacy in our Constitution. I strongly believe there is. I think the decision in Griswold was correct overruling. I think the decision in Roe was correct because there's a right to privacy. There can be limitations on it, but it cannot be denied.
President Joe Biden has reacted to news indicating through a draft majority opinion by the Supreme Court that they intend on overturning Roe v. Wade. This was an opinion written by Samuel Alito. It was leaked to the press just last night, and it gives us an idea of the unhinged arguments that Alito, along with other conservative members of the Supreme Court, will make in their efforts to overturn Roe v. Wade. Now, let me give you the details on what the opinion indicates, written by Alito. I think that context is important. And then we'll talk about the Democrats' reaction to this, because that is relevant as well. It's something you should keep in mind as people are now funneling millions and millions of dollars into the campaign coffers of ineffective, weak, pathetic Democratic lawmakers who are in charge right now, they're in charge right now, and this happened under their watch, okay? Obama had a super majority in the beginning of his first term, didn't want to codify abortion. In fact, he was on the record saying that's not a priority right now. Not a priority right now. He was too busy cowering to Republicans to pass a Republican healthcare plan that Mitt Romney had passed in his state. But anyway, let me get to the details of what Alito's decision indicates. Again, this is a draft. It hasn't been officially handed down yet, but it doesn't matter. This is likely going to be the final decision. I'm just keeping it real with you guys. The draft opinion is a full-throated, unflinching repudiation of the 1973 decision, which guaranteed federal constitutional protections of abortion, and a subsequent 1992 decision, Planned Parenthood versus Casey, that largely maintained the right. Roe was egregiously wrong from the start, Alito wrote. We hold that Roe and Casey must be overruled, he writes in the document, labeled as the opinion of the court. It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives. He continues to write, the Constitution does not prohibit the citizens of each state from regulating or prohibiting abortion, the draft concludes. Roe and Casey arrogated the authority and now overrule those decisions and return that authority to the people and their elected representatives. So this is overturning Roe v. Wade. And this is the decision that is likely going to be the official decision having to do with the Mississippi abortion ban past 15 weeks. So they're using that state legislation as the opportunity to overturn Roe v. Wade, meaning that there is no longer going to be constitutional protections for women and their reproductive rights. So look, Cenk, take over, because I'm having a hard time even communicating today.
Yeah, so let's break down a couple of things. Number one is the court decision. Number two is the politics of it. In terms of the court decision, this is as extreme an opinion as the justice is right. Now, let me explain. Saying that Roe v. Wade is wrongly decided is not an extreme position. It is a fairly normal judicial and legal debate as to whether Roe was decided correctly. That is not about the issue of abortion. That's about how do you interpret the Constitution. And so Roe was very expansive in how they interpreted the Constitution, and a lot of legal scholars have had some concerns about how broad it was, okay? But Alito's version of this decision is extreme to the other end. And it shreds not only Roe, but perhaps the rights underneath Roe, things like right to privacy. Now, he makes a reference in the document to, hey, this only applies to abortion. But by the way, that's also not philosophically or principally logical either. It's as if he's saying, hey, don't worry, we're not going to take away the right to gay marriage and other rights. By the way, how the right to privacy started was pre-abortion in a contraception case. So, but once you've taken away the legal underpinnings of that, are all those things in doubt, including contraception? Yes, contraception used to be illegal in many states. Yes, 99% of women use it. But nonetheless, even in recent times, some Republicans have tried to take it away. And certainly you see them on the warpath against LGBT rights all across the country. So that's all in doubt. But a lot of people are going to, hey, what happens to gay rights? What happens to this? And that's fair, and that's obviously of deep concern. But you don't have to go that far. What happens right now to women, to all women? Their right to abortion is likely in June going to be completely taken away. So there's two elements of that, which then leads us into the politics. One is the red states will immediately pass laws. In fact, 13 of them have already passed laws that trigger as soon as the Supreme Court says that Roe is overturned, abortion becomes illegal.
Immediately in June, 13 states will make abortion completely illegal. A few exceptions in some instances in some of those states, maybe if the woman's life is in danger, maybe they'll consider it. Maybe the pro-life people who couldn't be bothered to wear a freaking mask during the pandemic might make an exception for a woman if her life is in danger as a result of that pregnancy. Might. They're pro-life, by the way. Hundreds of thousands of Americans dead during the pandemic because of the intentional disinformation by the same right-wingers who are pretending to care about zygotes and fetuses today. Continue.
So I'm actually going to read a super chat here because it's actually really powerful and directly is in line with what we were
Feckless
saying.
Democrats, losers, weak. That's who they are. What happened to those runoff Senate elections in Georgia where everyone turned out because those were the consequential races? We need to ensure that Democrats have a majority in the Senate. What happened? What happened? How are you going to convince people to come out and vote for you feckless losers? How?
Okay.
People are donating millions of dollars to Democrats right now. Don't waste your money.
Oh, you're wasting
Don't
your money
waste your
so
money.
Badly. I'm going to explain why in a second. Okay, hold on for that. Peter Hamby, who usually writes lighthearted poems, etc., wrote in today, SCOTUS reversing Roe is a shot through the heart. If this happened 12 years ago when my sister, then 12, was raped, doctors would say their hands are tied to raise the rapist child. So that's actually going to happen in about 24 states that are deeply red.
And don't forget, before raising that rapist child, she would have to go through the entire pregnancy with that rapist child inside her body, okay?
Yeah.
A 12-year-old. A 12-year-old.
Yeah, but they don't care about life. This is about controlling women.
100%.
Okay, so look, Republicans are monsters. That's a given, and for any thinking person. Have I offended your feelings? You just took away the rights of women to control their own bodies. You're saying you love big government so much, you're going to seize a woman's body. The government is going to seize a woman's body and say, you are not allowed to do what you want. You are not allowed to have freedom. Men are allowed to have freedom. Women are not allowed to have freedom. Okay, so now it's going to get worse when we get into the politics because Democrats now, to Anna's point, are complete losers. I'm going to break down Biden in a second for you guys and what he said and why you shouldn't waste your money giving to a corporate Democrat. They are definitely going to put it in their pockets. They're never going to help you, okay? So that's the demoralizing part. But the reason they're not going to do anything now, and Chuck Schumer's already said it, they've already surrendered. If you watch mainstream media, you'll never get the actual news. It's in there, but they don't frame it right. So they say Schumer says that they are going to vote on a bill to make Roe v. Wade the law of the land because Congress just could pass a law. In fact, Democrats have the Senate, the House, and the presidency. They could pass a law tomorrow, and all of this is moot, right? So, and they all gave giant headlines to Biden and Schumer and Pelosi talking about, the law, we're going to pass a law. And then buried in the 17th paragraph is Schumer saying, we're going to try that, but we're not going to try to end the filibuster. So we're going to need every Democrat plus 10 Republicans, which he knows and Biden knows, all of them know is impossible. So they're playing with you. They're doing theatrics. And it's such a serious moment. They think, how are we going to take advantage of this to raise money from you and to win more elections, but never actually deliver because we actually deliver, then you won't give us more money and you won't vote for us. So this is all about Schumer and Pelosi and Biden and their need for power. But they're not going to take away the filibuster. But the Republicans are about to, very likely, given the polling in 22, recapture Congress. The minute they have a Republican president, which is very likely in 24, again, based on the polling today, okay, they will reverse the filibuster in a second and make it illegal in the whole country. You could make it legal or illegal in the whole country. Democrats could do it right now. They're choosing not to because they're going to fundraise off of it, and they're disgusting human beings. But the Republicans can actually make it illegal in California, New York, everywhere else. And you think they won't? Do you really think they won't? Do you think they'll care about the parliamentarian? Do you think they'll care about the arcane Senate rules? No, here's what McConnell's gonna say on day one. Oh, the Democrats threatened it, so it's good enough. We'll now execute it, it's their fault.
Because McConnell, unlike these garbage Democrats, understands power and he wields it. He wields it. He wields it for evil. He does it to control. He does it to force his theocratic ideology onto all of us. That's what he uses it for. Whereas the Democrats, hey Nancy, how's your refrigerator doing? How's your luxury ice cream doing? Okay, how's all that going for you? No, the Democrats, listen, all of the bootlickers for the Democratic Party get so upset at me for telling the truth about how ineffective and pathetic Democratic lawmakers are. Go ahead and cry about it. Oh, but the real enemies are the Republicans. At least Republicans tell us exactly who they are. Yeah. They don't even hide their cards. They tell us exactly who they are and what they're planning on doing. They scream it from the mountaintops. Yeah. And what do Democrats do? Do they do anything to prepare for it, to strategize, to ensure that they mitigate the damage that's done by right-wingers in this country? No, they're too busy fundraising. Nancy Pelosi's got to fundraise. Chuck Schumer, he can't do away with the filibuster because that would mean that he'd have to apply a little bit of pressure on goons like Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. Ooh, can't do that, can't do that. No, the reason why I go after Democrats is because A, they deserve it, and B, they deceive us, they lie to us, and they tell us that they're gonna fight for us, and they do the exact opposite. They fold immediately. Nancy Pelosi, on the record, said we need strong Republicans. Oh, I bet you do, Nancy. I bet you do. Yeah. Without the strong Republicans, how would you fundraise? You pathetic, pathetic corporate goon.
Okay, in fact, Nancy Pelosi has said in the past that Democrats should not focus on abortion because it hurts their electoral chances. So she already threw women under the bus. That you can see that headline all over social media. Everybody's sharing it now. So she's like, well, look, it's bothering me. It's affecting my power a little bit. So everybody power down. Unilateral disarmament on the issue of disarmament.
I can't wait until these people are gone.
So that's Nancy Pelosi. And then Tim Kaine, by the way, was Hillary Clinton's VP pick. Did you know Tim Kaine is against abortion? He says that he's pro-choice because he said, well, I'm a Democrat, I can't get elected otherwise. And so I suppose I'll allow you to have choice. But he's Catholic and he says his personal opinion is that you should not get an abortion. You should not be allowed to get an abortion. But politically, because he's a Democrat and a liar, he says, well, okay, for the moment being, and Hillary Clinton picked him. Hillary Clinton picked him to be the VP, okay?
No, but it's our fault that she lost,
yeah,
by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
And by the way, Christine Pelosi put out a statement immediately. That's Nancy Pelosi's daughter and a power broker in California in Democratic politics, blaming progressives instantly. What the hell? We're the ones fighting. You're the one, your mom literally said, don't fight on this issue. That's literal. She said, do not fight on this issue. That's letting the Republicans win. But she said, oh, it's because of the Bernie people. No, but Hillary picked Tim Kaine. Hillary lost to Donald Trump. She cost us 3 seats. She lost to a moron.
Yeah, but
she lost to a guy with a single-digit IQ. And that's our fault? No, unbearable. But now let me get to Biden. Okay, so Biden put out a statement with 3 parts to it. First, he says, quote, my administration argued strongly before the court. Did you? Because you just got your ass handed to you. This happened on your watch. You didn't plan for it. You didn't execute it well. So don't come bragging to us about how you fought strongly. Alito just wrote an opinion that is devastating, okay? Second, he says, I directed my Gender Policy Council and White House Counsel's Office to prepare options for an administration response. Oh, they've got a study group. Oh, they're going to study it, Anna. They're going to do a commission and a study group.
Yeah, the Democrats
gender policies.
love their circle jerk study groups. They love it. They love it. They can't get enough of pleasuring themselves to their commissions and their study groups that do nothing. Just like when Biden lied to us and said to us, I don't know if the federal government can unilaterally cancel all student loans. I don't know if the executive branch can do it. You know, you freaking liar. I need a commission to study to see whether, you don't know what your own job is? You don't know what your job title entitles you to? You don't know? Why are you president? Why did you nominate an education secretary? What's the whole point? Yeah. No, he knows, they know. But Cenk, the reason why they blame progressives for the fact that they're massive losers, let's keep it real, is because what's the alternative? Acknowledging that they're corrupt, acknowledging that they're puppets to their corporate donors and their corporate masters? They're not gonna admit that. So let's just find another scapegoat. Let's go ahead and blame progressives. Yeah, let's do that.
And the reason that another reason they do it is because it works. Why does it work? Because their co-conspirators are the mainstream media. So they lie to you in mass over and over and over again. Look, put aside the emotion. The facts that we're telling you, are they correct or are they incorrect? They're definitely correct. You can look them up anywhere, right? But why does the mainstream media not point out the Democrats aren't even planning to win on this issue? If you don't try to get rid of the filibuster, everyone knows that it's absolutely impossible to get 10 Republicans to vote pro-choice in the Senate. I mean, if you're a reporter, you don't know that? You're an editor, you're a producer, you don't know that? Well, then obviously you should retire because you literally don't know anything about politics. If you do know that, why are you humoring the Democrats? Why isn't your headline, Democrats pretend to do something, but they obviously don't mean it? I mean, at least explain it, at least give me one sentence. Otherwise, all you're doing is marketing for corporate Democrats. And then when you then say, oh, well, progressives are, for what? Progressives are the ones fighting. And they say, don't fight. Well, God damn it then. All right, well, you guys work together and you're deeply, deeply, deeply corrupt. Now let me get to part 3 from Biden. He said, it will fall on the voters to elect pro-choice officials this November. And we need more pro-choice senators and more pro-choice majority in the House. But wait a minute, what good would that do? You guys refuse to get rid of the filibuster. And by the way, why do they do that? Because they literally collect checks from lobbyists. That's what they did after each bill. When Manchin and Sinema voted down the bills, they went and collected checks from lobbyists. That's also a literal fact from the National Restaurant Association after they killed the increase in the minimum wage. So, but the mainstream media don't talk about it because that would offend your best friends, the corporate Democrats who you do marketing for. So are you ever going to be honest? So, but okay, if we're not going to take away the filibuster, and Schumer already said it, what difference does it make if you have 58 Democratic senators? They're still not going to take away the filibuster and they'll still lose. So even if you did Herculean work and you got the Democrats in a cycle they're supposed to lose, you got them 8 more senators. By the way, if you got them 10 more senators, Manchin's against abortion. So he would vote with the Republicans. So then you need at least 11 senators, which is near impossible. And then even then the Democrats wouldn't do it. Even then they wouldn't do it. Why? Because I want more money, 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 money. I want to do more fundraising. Oh, I'm going to pretend, oh, I'm working so hard. Send me all your money so I can stuff it into my pockets. You already have the lobbyist money. What the hell you need our money for? Okay? Oh, vote for me more. Why? You don't do anything now. If they showed any kind of fight, then you could say, hey, logically, okay, maybe they'll fight more if you elect more Democrats. But right now, their current strategy is surrender.
They have no plan. They never have, they never will. All they care about is fundraising. I'm done with Congress. I'm done with them. I'm completely done with them. We need to find a way to circumvent the government and get people what they need, okay? We need to organize, we need to find a way. We'll talk about it a little later in the show. If we're gonna sit around and wait for our elected lawmakers to protect us from these religious zealots and these right-wing authoritarians, man, we have another thing coming. How many times do we need to be disappointed by them? I'm done with them. And personally, I don't speak for everyone in this network. I want to be clear. I'm speaking for myself. I'm done with them completely. The Democratic Party, every single one of them, that includes the squad, I don't care anymore. They have not delivered. They have not delivered. I'm done. Okay. It's time to organize, create organizations that get women and get people in this country what they need. People who are willing to pick up the slack for these disgusting, feckless, corrupt politicians. That's what we need to focus on.
So when I ran for Congress, the LA Times said that I would be too rude to Republicans.
Good, we're gonna be ruder.
And they endorsed my soft corporate Democratic opponent. Okay, and what has she done to fight? Well, actually, she's not in Congress because she didn't bother fighting the Republican in the race. They never fight the Republicans, ever, ever, ever. By the way, when I was in the race though, they fought me like demons, right? They're fighting Nina Turner like demons. They spent more than $4 million last time. It looks like more than $2 million this time on in the midst of all these different elections. They bring in the president and the speaker and everyone else. Fight the progressives, fight the progressives. They smear Bernie, Nina, me, everyone that runs on the progressive side. And they say these people are guilty of fighting for you. They should be civil. They should know their place. They should know their role. And the role of Democrats in this good cop, bad cop, kabuki theater is to lose like losers. We do not consent. We do not consent to have the Republicans control our bodies, and we do not consent to the Democrats constantly surrendering on our behalf.
I'm sorry.
I don't care what the mainstream media says, and they're goddamn liars, and I don't care what the goddamn liars of the establishment Democrats say. We're gonna fight, and if you don't like it, cry about it. Cry in a goddamn corner. Sit there and go, oh, progressives fought Republicans too hard. And I guarantee you, I called Republicans evil right after the decision was revealed, right? If I said that on national television, I guarantee you half the conversation right now would be about how bad I am for being mean to Republicans. Meanwhile, they just took away the rights of 51% of the country. Just took them away, snatched their bodies and said the government now controls your body. But that's not the problem. Anyone who fights Republicans is the problem. No, F the Democrats and their leadership, which is so corrupt, it's unspeakable. And to every mainstream media, I can go on with adjectives, to all your so-called reporters who cover their asses and never actually tell the American people the truth. The Democratic leadership never fights for you, doesn't care about you, and is only interested in their own ego and power. Shame on you for covering for them and doing propaganda for them. You disgust me with your alternative facts and your goddamn lies.
In this political system, you have very limited options. You could either support the American Taliban, or you could support the party that capitulates to these terrorists. And that's pretty much it. Those are your options. There is a third option, and it's to circumvent all of it and figure out what the loopholes are to get people what they need. That's it. What are we gonna do, Cenk? What other option do we have at this point?
Yeah, so obviously, I think that progressives can win electorally. But I'll tell you what, when they win, they better do something. If you go in there and your whole thing is, let me bow my head to the corporate Democrats, then everyone's right. What the hell did we elect you for? I mean, here's Nina Turner, co-chair of Bernie Sanders' campaign, one of the strongest progressives in the country. In the last 24 hours, AOC endorsed her and no one else did. You're not gonna stick together? You all ran against incumbents, or almost all of you did. You wouldn't have endorsed yourself?
Embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
Super embarrassing.
So you were taught compliance and you obeyed?
Good job.
And don't get me wrong, I know there are consequences. I know how vicious the corporate Democrats are to progressives. They'll lie down like doormats, like guys like Hakeem Jeffries. Happy to be a doormat for the Republicans, to have them walk all over him. He's like, oh, do I get any money though? Oh, yes, 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 my corporate donors, my beloved. But when it comes to progressives, they'll rip your face off. I know that, okay? That's why it requires courage to fight back. If you don't want to do that, then yes, we wasted our time. So I think the jury's still out as long as Nina Turner's still around, but we're gonna find out in about a couple hours. And if she isn't, I too might give up on electoral politics, at least in Congress, because everyone that goes in there immediately believes the lies of establishment Democrats, that they have to surrender to Republicans and they have to surrender to Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden and they have to surrender to the donors. Well, if everyone who goes in there believes that, then there's no point in sending them. Washington is a cesspool. It sucks the brains out of these people and sucks the courage out of these people. I'm sick of it. We're all sick of it. And if you want to hate the messenger, hate me. I don't care at all. Our job is to deliver the truth, and that's the truth.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.